Hey everybody, how you doing? My name is Scott Schertzen alongside myself. And welcome to the Sports Den on Zingo TV, channel 249 and 250, part of the Spanglish World Network. As always, make sure to rate and download the Zingo TV app on stores of iOS and Android. The app is free, so feel free to comment whatever thoughts you may have there. Lastly, Zingo TV is also available on Google Chromecast, Amazon Fire, Fire TV sticks, Roku sticks, and all smart TVs 2016 and forward. As I had mentioned in this case here, my name is Scott Schertzen, and I am riding solo today. So in this case, in an odd set of circumstances, I will be doing this entire show all by my lonesome. The good news for those of you out there, if you enjoy the melodious sound of my voice, congratulations, you're going to be hearing a lot of it today. On the other hand, if my voice sounds to you like nails on a chalkboard, I would recommend probably backing out of this video and finding something else to watch. Supposedly, this YouTube thing does have a few different options out there available. Zingo TV has a bunch of stuff as well. So if you hate the sound of my voice, get out now while you can. All right. So at this point right now, there's going to be a lot of things I'm going to be covering, like I said, on my own here. I've got a few topics I'm going to be focusing on when it comes to baseball, a little bit of football, maybe a little Frontier League as well, because I happened to catch my first Frontier game the other day. But I figure let's start this thing off. Basically, the first and foremost thing that I want to go into, again, since this is basically me running on my lonesome, I got to go with the topics that I know a lot about. So in this case here, actually, you know what I'm going to do? I'm going to put myself off to the side here. I will put myself right there. How does that look? That is brilliant. Okay, so this right here is, if you can see it, is the Yankee schedule, or actually the AL schedule standings rather, at the All-Star League break. If you look to the very top of the left of the screen right there, you can see that in this case here, the New York Yankees sitting at the top, sitting pretty, 13 games in front of Tampa Bay with a very, very modest 64-28 record, a .696 win percentage, which is best in Major League Baseball. If you look to the right side of the screen, you'll see basically both the AL and the NL. At that point, the Dodgers are cruising along at a .667 win percentage. Very nice, very strong. The Mets are right behind them at .624. But as far as basically the Yankees go, this in this case was the All-Star break. This was when they were flying high. The question was, are they going to set the all-time mark for most wins in a season? Who knows what's going to happen? And then fast forward to now. What you're looking at on this particular screen right now is the record of everybody in the AL since the All-Star break. First and foremost, to the Baltimore Orioles. I have always held a little bit of a soft spot for the Orioles, but by God in heaven, the Baltimore Orioles have the second best win percentage in the AL since the All-Star break. Swing it down, if you're curious, side of the fence. Dodgers, on basically down, if you look down in the corner, have a 6.78 win percentage, 29-8. The Mets are 6.67. St. Louis Cardinals in the NL. Albert Pujols is swan song. His team is flying high, 7.14 win percentage. Very, very smart trade on their side of the fence because they added Jordan Montgomery from the Yankees for basically an injured player that has yet to play for the team he was traded for. Those Yankees, this, by the way, I just want to point this out. Like I said, this is what you're looking at, is the record for the American League for every single team since the All-Star break. Prior to, the Yankees had a .696 win percentage. Since the All-Star break, the Yankees, if you look straight down on the right side of the screen there, have the second worst record in the American League since the All-Star break. If you look down at the very bottom, basically the worst team overall is the Pittsburgh Pirates, in this case, with a woeful .257, but we're not talking about the Pirates in this case because unfortunately that city deserves so much better than they get. They really do. If it wasn't for hockey right now, they would have nothing to look forward to this season. But the New York Yankees have gone 14-23 since the All-Star break. They are the second worst team in the American League since the All-Star break. Now think about that. Think about how big that is. Only the Detroit Tigers, who were frankly cellar dwellers, the entire run in the season, pretty much. The Detroit Tigers are the only team that's worse in the AL than the New York Yankees, with all the strength and all the talent that they have. Garrett Cole, Giancarlo Stanton, obviously Aaron Judge, and the fantastic season he's having. We're going to talk a little bit about that later on and what's going to happen with him in the offseason. I have some thoughts and some predictions there. But the Yankees' .378 win percentage, like I said, basically, if you bring back to the first screen here, the Yankees at the All-Star break had a .696 win percentage. and they were 13 games ahead of the Tampa Bay Rays. Fast forward to now, and this is as of last night, the New York Yankees now have a 605 win percentage, which is still second best in Major League Baseball and nothing to sneeze at. Whenever you have a record of 100, you're in really good shape. However, the Tampa Bay Rays climbing. The Rays right now are only 7 games out. They have cut that lead into nearly half in the past month. This is a massive, massive concern. And the question that we have right now that I want to ask in this case is the Rays right now are 19-16 since the All-Star break. That is true. However, in the last 25 games, the Rays are 16-9. They are climbing, they're flying, and right now the Yankees are burned out. This is a New York Yankee team that is struggling in a bunch of different ways right now because of the fact that their players are gassed. You know, when they were having the hot start that they were having, I did not, in my mind, actually feel that they were going to do as well as they did out of the gate. Thank God for Yankee Nation that they did, because the Yankees right now are a team that is getting tired. They're running out of gas. This was a concern that I had with this to a massive, massive, massive hot start. I was sitting there thinking to myself, let me see how this team does come August. Let me see how this team does when when they're basically the team itself is going to start running out of gas. Because this is a group, this is a lineup here that honestly, it has the ability to be able to survive come October. This is a team that, as you saw there, is the second worst team in the American League since the All-Star break. And only the Detroit Tigers are worse. So if the Detroit Tigers are a half a game worse than the New York Yankees, where are the Yankees going to be come October? A step further, and this is where it is going to get very, very, very interesting. The Yankees have a very difficult schedule coming out of the gate, going into September. 15, to give you some idea here, 15 of the next 17 games that the New York Yankees have are against teams that are 500 or better. They have the games against, actually 15 out of 19, I should say, because they have the 2 games against the Angels right now. They're playing tonight and tomorrow. But when they come back east, they have a 3-game set in Tampa Bay. Then they have to also sit there. They have to play the Orioles. They got to play the Red Sox, which is the teams that I mentioned was under 500 there. But Red Sox, Yankee Nation, that's always a rivalry there. You can never fully predict what's going to happen on that side of it. They also have to sit there. They have to play the Milwaukee Brewers. They have to play a lot of tough teams all the way through. And it is entirely possible, unlikely, but entirely possible, that this New York Yankee team could somehow, by God, in some way, lose the AL East. It is plausible. Not, like I said, not impossible, but it is plausible that the New York Yankees, with their 605 win percentage, could continue to fall. Because now the Tampa Bay Rays are climbing. They're facing the Rays. They got 6 games against the Rays. And the Tampa Bay Rays know that there's a first round bye at stake under the new system that exists right now, under the new MLB system. The first and second highest records in the division or in the conference, they get a bye for the first round. And then in this case, so if you look at the record, if the season ended today, Houston gets a bye. The Yankees get a bye. Cleveland, which has sprung out of nowhere, they have actually they've actually taken over. I'm very impressed. The Minnesota Twins had that division pretty well in hand for a little while, but the Twinkies have dropped hardcore, and as a result, Cleveland is now the first place team. What ends up happening in this scenario is there are 3 division winners and 3 wild card teams. So, looking at this in this particular case, your wild card teams would, in fact, right now be Tampa Bay, Seattle, and Toronto. 4, 5, and 6. So Cleveland would end up playing Toronto. Tampa Bay would play Seattle. And then in this case, 3 and 6, whichever one takes that one, plays Houston. 4 and 5, whichever one takes that one, plays the Yankees. There's no reseeding, which is the problem I have with this. I'll get into that a little bit later. I look at this division right now, and I see a lot of question marks for the New York Yankees. Like I said, they got to play a Baltimore team that has had the best record in the AL since the All-Star break. Flipping back to that for a sec. That right there, that screen is the overall since the All-Star break. So Houston, 605 win percentage. Okay, fine. Baltimore Orioles, 600 win percentage. Cleveland Guardians, 583. Toronto, 559. The Rays, 543. But like I said, they had a rough start coming out of the All-Star break, and they picked it up 16-9 in their last 25. So the Yankees have to face all of these teams. And I don't know what's going to happen. The Yankees right now are relying so much on Aaron Judge's bat that it is a massive, massive question mark if this team is going to be able to figure out a way to beat the rest of the league here. I don't think they can. I don't know if this team is in panic mode right now. I don't know what the fate of this team is going to end up being, because heads will, I think, roll finally if the Yankees not get far into this postseason. I think the way this is right now, especially across the way in Citi Field and with the way the Mets are doing right now, the Mets are showing fire, they're showing energy, they're showing passion. And then we're here and he's handling some personal stuff on the side of it. If Brandon were here, he would be talking about the fact that when it comes to Yankee Nation, it's like going to a golf event. Bravo, fantastic job. Loving what you've done, Mr. Judge. Loving the jolly good swing there. And you know what? It kind of feels like that. I'll go to Yankee Stadium to cover NYCFC, and use a lot of times more energy and passion out of like NYCFC games than there are Yankee games. It's kind of sad. But across the way, you have a Mets team right now. If you look at those numbers, 667 win percentage. Now, yes, the Dodgers and St. Louis have done better, and Atlanta is right up the heels right there. Credit to Atlanta on that. Credit to Philadelphia. We can get into that a little bit. But the Mets right now are on an upswing, while the Yankees are on a downswing. And this is what's monopolizing the back pages right now here in New York. If it wasn't for Aaron Judge, I don't think the Yankees would be actually having a lot of press coverage at all right now. Aaron Judge did hit home run number 50. His personal mark for a season is 52. I think it's pretty much a lock that Aaron is going to be breaking that mark. But I don't believe at all that the Yankees can go far in October unless they switch this around and switch it around fast. Do I think they're going to fire Aaron Boone? No, I don't. I think Aaron Boone stays throughout the rest of the season. I think he's going to be able to run with this until, the very end here. But I would be surprised if he keeps his job if that team doesn't get to the World Series. Let me just make note of something real quick. Learn how to type better. See, this is one of the problems when you're running solo like this, because in this case here, I can usually have someone else talk while I'm doing this. All-Star. I just wanted to sit there. I just wanted to change that lower authority to... Here, I'll change it to that. Like I said, the Yankees right now, 370 win percentage. Correct. Let me clarify that a little bit. 378 win percentage in 37 games. That is one quarter of the season. That is nearly one quarter of the season. Let me put my water. There it is. That is nearly one quarter of the season. And they have the second worst record. Boston surprises me a little bit. I really, really didn't think Boston was going to stay down this far. That is a tough division, arguably one of the toughest ones in baseball, I think, right now, because it is so even-keeled all the way top to bottom. That's the overall record for the AL East right now. Yankees are still in front. Boston is 16 games behind. They're done for the season. There's no way that they're going to be able to recover from this. But they know they're playing. They're playing the Yankees. And like I said, in a case like this, you never know what's going to happen. Which opens up the other question right now. What is going to happen to Mr. Judge? Does he stay? Does Mr. Judge go? I don't know. I think right now, if I think Aaron Judge, he's the runaway MVP right now. There's no way that he won't be. This is a guy who has 50 home runs. His WAR is a full point above everyone else in baseball at a minimum. It's a runaway no contest. But my question is, what happens to him at the end of the season? He turned down a 7-year, $215 million deal from the Yankees. I think was an economically good deal for the Yankees. I think that was a good deal that they offered him. He turned it down. He wants more. I think he's going to get it. I would see him probably, if you ask my opinion, I could see him probably going west. He is from California, so my first thought, when in doubt, go Dodgers. I figure basically the Dodgers will be the first team. Thank you. Compliment coming in from the sidelines. Apparently, I'm not sucking here, so yay for me. Um, but as far as Aaron Judge goes, I don't think he stays in New York. I think it's 40-60. He is going to stay in New York right now. So I would expect him to go west. He is from California. He is very family oriented. I think he could probably go to LA and probably pick up 8-year 275. I think the Dodgers would offer him that. Like I said, the Yankees offered him 7 years, 250. I can't complain there. I think that's a good deal, that the Yankees offered him. And he turned it down, which is 100% his prerogative. Bobby Brown here, my prerogative. But I think in his case, he is going to go west and he's going to get banked. Brandon Kaye, if Brandon were here, would talk about the fact that he would want Uncle Stevie to open up the wallet, open up the pocketbook, and basically say, here's a blank check, insert your number that you feel, proper, and then welcome to, welcome to Queens. I do not think that the Mets need him. I don't think the Mets need somebody like that. Would Met Nation love to stick at the Yankee Nation? Absolutely. Would the Dodgers love to stick at the Yankee Nation? Absolutely. Fenway Park and the Green Monster would be a lot of fun to watch, Aaron Judge hit its shots off of that. But I think right now, I don't think it makes a lot of sense because whatever team is going to basically pay for him, especially after this season, they're going to have to really, really pay a ton. And I think the only team that can do that right now, the only team that can afford to give Aaron Judge the money he wants is with LA. They've already shown that they have no problem whatsoever just paying through the nose for everybody. This is the evil empire of the 2020s. Yankees will always be called the evil empire. The Dodgers are the ones paying, basically that are willing to do it. They got that Mookie Betts deal until he's 39 years old. They paid David Price, $30 million a year. David Price opened in the bullpen. What does that say about your team when you have that much pitching potential and pitching strength to be like, you know what? I know we're paying you $30 million, but you know what? Eff it. You can just start in the bullpen. We'll call you when we need you. And that is why specifically here, if I switch over to the National League for a sec, that team buys its championships. Because if you look at the right side of that screen there, the National League overall, the Dodgers right now are 29-8 since the All-Star break. Lewis is 25-10 credit there. The Mets 24-12 credit there. Atlanta 23-12 also credit there because it took them a little while to get things going. But they now have a sick 784 win percentage. It is not even a contest. Like I said, that is since the All-Star break. They actually turned on the Jets from what was earlier, which if you look at the numbers here, let's come back to that, which is, there we go. They had a 667 win percentage going into the All-Star break, and they're like, you know what? We can kick that up a little higher. Let's just go 784 since, and now they have an obnoxious 19.5 game lead over the San Diego Padres, who just, by the way, BT Dubs landed Juan Soto, which is good timing there, considering that there's a PED suspension for that team. Having, in this case, having Juan Soto was good timing, but my God, the Dodgers could be that team that actually ends up winning, and having the highest number of wins in MLB. It's an outside shot, but they're turning on the Jets right now. They are just so absolutely 100% cruising. I feel, like I said, Milwaukee, they'll get in. But I want to talk a little bit real quick about the Philadelphia Phillies. The Phillies right now were a team, and this is where I think Joe Girardi struggles a little bit as a manager. I saw this in New York, but Joe Girardi has a little bit of a tendency to rub players and ownership the wrong way. Very, very independent thinking. He won a World Series with the Yankees. That is true, 2009. But that was a series that was pretty much bought because Hal Steinbrenner, I believe personally, wanted to give his father, who's clinging to life and and basically would die a year later, he wanted to give his father one more World Series, which is why he brought in players like CC Sabathia, AJ Burnett, Mark Teixeira, Nick Swisher was in there too in the 2009 lineup. So I think they went out and they bought that one more time to give him one final run, and it worked out. So in this regard, Joe Girardi inherited that team. But when he was let go after the 2016 season, 2017, sorry. He went to Philadelphia and didn't have the same success because it's not the same team. He did something when he was in New York that rubbed a lot of the players the wrong way. He banned sodas in the clubhouse. He would not allow them because he wanted everybody to stay on, energy drinks and water only. I'm not even sure if he liked coffee, but you compare that to what happens with somebody like, say, an Aaron Boone, who's a little more liberal about what they want there. That's the dichotomy that often happens in sports, where on one hand, you bring in the tough as nails manager. So back it up a little bit here. You had old school manager Buck Showalter, who was let go after the 1995 season. We'll get into Buck and the Mets in a second. Then you brought in mellow, cool as glass, cool as, as a pond, Joe Torre there. And then Joe Torre left, and then you bring in Joe Girardi. So you went from hard-nosed to mellow to hard-nosed to now mellow in Aaron Boone. And this is part of the reason why you're having the fall off that you're having in Yankee Nation. So what happens this year is if Aaron Boone is gone, logic should dictate they should probably bring in a tougher manager, someone who basically knows how to get order in that clubhouse. I don't think they will. I think Hal Steinbrenner and I think that entourage is going to basically be looking at this and saying, we want somebody that falls in line to our ideals and our thought process and not somebody independent. That's why they were going to let Joe Girardi go. The plan was, even if Girardi got them to the World Series, even Joe Girardi won the World Series for the Yankees in his last year, they were going to let him go. And it's kind of funny in some ways because you look at what this team is doing and you see, like I said, right now, it's a 605 win percentage. I didn't want to do that. That'll come back to that later. But the Yankees right now, since the All-Star break, have an abysmal 378 win percentage. And a lot of that we have to put on Aaron Boone because Booney is the role of that clubhouse. And I think right now, since we're into August, now we're into September, their lead has dropped from 13 at the All-Star break to now 7. Have to play 7 games against the second place Tampa Bay Rays. The Rays know they have a shot at winning this division. And if you're a Yankee fan, by God, you got to start pissing yourself in fear. But you have a great chance of actually losing that division and having to play for the wild card. Will it happen? Maybe. Is it guaranteed? No. But is it impossible? Absolutely not. It is 100% possible, plausible even, with the Yankee schedule. They leave, they have the 2 games right now at the West Coast against the Angels. West Coast is always tough for East Coast teams. Then they come back and they play 15 out of the next 17 games against teams that are above 500. The two games that they're playing that are against teams that are against a team under 500, the Boston Red Sox. So who knows what's going to actually end up happening there. But the Red Sox right now, there we go. Yes. Brandon coming in from the sidelines. I appreciate that, sir. One pitcher, one offensive threat can sustain long season success. I don't know. Would you even say that they have one pitcher? Garrett Cole's been a little iffy right now. Aaron Judge, fine. Aaron Judge has been doing fine on this guy. Without Aaron Judge, they are in the 4th place that I had predicted at the beginning of the season. Yes, I will own that. I was 120%, 180% wrong on that prediction. But I did say, see that team in July, see that team in August, see that team in September. When the team starts getting tired, Judge is 30 or 31 years old. Stanton is old. You have a lot of players that Josh Donaldson, 36 years old, $20 million a year on that. I look at that team right now and I say it is mathematically possible. And dear God in heaven, for anyone, Brandon, if you're still watching this right now, the New York Yankees had the 2nd worst win percentage since the All-Star break. The only has done worse than them is the Detroit Tigers. And with 15 out of the next 17 games they have to play against teams above 500 and 7 games against the Tampa Bay Ray team that has gone 16-9 in the last 25, the Yankees could lose the division. They really could. And I think it's just hilarious as an idea to see the Yankees fall like that. All right, this is going to probably tie into my second topic. You know what? I've been doing this. Brandon, I'm only saying this because basically the fact that you're actually here. There is a rule in baseball, according to my wife, that says, quote, you never change your team. Your rule is basically you just have your team. That is your team. You die on that hill. That is your team. I've been noticing something ever since COVID. I've kind of revamped myself and become a little bit of a different person. And I've been noticing something in myself as far as my sports identity goes. I'm struggling to root for the perennial top of the food chain, in a way that I haven't before. So when it comes to the New York Giants, I mean, okay, they have the dynasty and the legacy and all this kind of stuff, sure. But every time that they've gone to the Super Bowl in the last 15 years, it has been flash in the pan. They went 10-6, they went 9-7, they caught lightning in that bottle, went to the Super Bowl, beat the Patriots, panacea, yay, hurrah. But they haven't built a strong team. The Devils are the Devils. Let's leave it at that. I half jokingly actually have fun with the fact that the Orlando Magic are my NBA team because I love rooting for the underdog. The Yankees are not necessarily that underdog team. So my wife and I have had conversations about this, and her rule is you never change your, you die on that hill, you never change your effing team, quote unquote. You know what the F probably means. I'm finding myself over the course of this season in some ways rooting against the Yankees in a way I never did, because I can't find myself to be impassioned and excited for this team. And it's funny because as a longtime Yankee fan, I find myself laughing at their struggles more than I ever did. Different. I'm gonna throw this comment up here just for funsies. Different states have different regulations and vaccination status. A lot of at least in merry-go-round action. I don't. Yeah, that is technically true. But coming back to my point here, I not even a vaccine. I think for me personally, I'm finding myself becoming more of a Tampa Bay. Never thought I'd say this. When I went back to school back in 2019 for radio and TV broadcasting, I had gone down to St. Pete for 2 games, with the Yankees down there. And it was 60% Yankee fans, 40% Rays fans. And I was a Yankee fan. I remember Cameron Maven scoring, CC Sabathia pitching. And I remember taking a recording from this and playing the recording in class as part of an assignment, as part of like some kind of a radio thing we had to do. But now here I am 3 years later, and I'm like, I kind of want to pull for the Rays a little more, because the Rays are that underdog team that matches my persona, matches my personality so absolutely 100% much that I could see myself rooting for a team that's success but still an outside shot. When it comes to the Frontier League, I'm a bit of a fan. When it comes to the New York Boulders, respect that team. I'm kind of digging that, especially digging the fact that they have a dog that literally chases down and grabs the baseball bats after a hit, which is a nice touch. But I think I'm going to become a Rays fan next year. It's weird because, again, the rule is you're not supposed to change your team. But my personality doesn't match the Yankee personality. That scrappy underdog thing. Back in the mid-90s when I became a fan of the team, they hadn't had, a World Series in years. Not since, they hadn't had a trip since 1981. So they had 94 pull away, basically the strike pulled things away from them. That sucked. But they were still a little bit of a scrappy underdog, a very team community organization. Paul O'Neill, Tino, David Cohn, Pettit. You had this group of people that a lot of which came up together in the minor leagues and then brought in little pieces. And it was just this fun, scrappy group that somewhere along the way, obviously players retire, they move, they go somewhere else, things like that. And it kind of became the 2004 team, where they would just buy players outright. It's like, Kevin Brown, let's bring him in. Sure, he'll punch a wall in the locker and break his hand. Randy Johnson, screw it. We'll bring in Randy Johnson. We're bringing Jason Giambi. Because at that point, they were just buying left and right. And they had the highest payroll, in baseball by a long shot. My personality doesn't match that anymore. My personality kind of matches more along lines of, like, say, a Tampa Bay, maybe a San Diego Padre. I mean, San Diego, God, I love San Diego. It's a freaking amazing city. So I kind of feel in a lot of ways that I might switch next season and become a Rays fan. So for you guys out there, I don't know how you feel about that. Am I allowed to change my sports team? I may throw a poll up on Twitter to see if that's something you're allowed to do, or basically how people feel about it. I say it's okay. My wife says no, it's not. So I'll find out. But anyway, we're about 30 minutes in at this point. I got about 25 or so minutes left. Basically, I think it's high time that I was going to switch things over a little bit. Talk a little NFL. Switch this back. There we go. We're going to switch this to that right there. God, I can't believe I actually been talking nonstop for 30 minutes straight. Like I said, I really hope you guys enjoy the melodious sound of my voice. Should clean that first. Oh, well. Okay, so anyway, we're going to be breaking down right now my predictions as far as what's going to happen in the NFC, in the AFC, swinging basically from the Bills on down. As a general rule, when it comes to sports and things like this, I am aware of what's going on right now with the Bills organization and their punter and everything like that. I try as a rule, if I can, to avoid current events. I am a big proponent of creating things to be escapism and not current events necessarily smacking you dead smack in the face. I am aware of what's happening over there. That is a black mark on the Bills. Nothing has been confirmed yet 100% if it is true or not. I am not going down that particular road. I have an opinion. I know what my opinion, some people close to me know what my opinion is, but I am not going to be discussing that opinion at this time. That's my official edict on this. All right. But in this case, since we're starting out with the Buffalo Bills, there is no reason in my mind that the Bills don't actually repeat as the AFC champions. The Patriots had a good season last year. I liked what they ended up doing. Their division as a whole has gotten stronger. I think the Jets have improved. I think the Dolphins have been great with grabbing Tyreek Hill. Bill Belichick, you can never count that man out at all. People are saying in training camp that Mac Jones is struggling. I'm not convinced of that. I think it's one of those things that they're trying different things and seeing how different things go because Belichick knows what he's doing. He has been a coach of that team for over 20 years. He has been a coach in the NFL for well over 40 years, I think, at this point. Trust that man to know what he's doing. So don't buy into too much of the fact that it's like, oh, Mac Jones is struggling. Sophomore jinx. Let's see what happens come day now. I remember earlier, a bunch of years ago, maybe it was 2002 or 4, I forget what year it was. The Patriots started out 2-2, and all hell broke loose. And everybody's like, "Oh my God, the team is in trouble. Tom Brady is done. Bill Belichick's going to be fired." Ah! The team went from 2-2 to 14-2, and then swept all the way through, and then won the Super Bowl. They fell to 2-2 and never lost a game again all the way. So you never know really what the Patriots are going to do. However, this is the Bills' time. Their team, they've added Von Miller, I think is a great add. I predict the Bills are going to go 10-5 this year. I believe that the Patriots are going to end 11-7. I'm sorry, 11-6. Sorry, bump that up. The Dolphins, I think, are going to go 10-7. I'm bumping all of those guys up a little bit right now. And the New York Jets, I think, are probably going to land at 6-13. I think they're going to go up a couple of games. The Jets still have a long way to go right now. This is a team that, has had the most losses since 2017, tied with the Giants as far as most losses go, but also have the fewest amount of first downs and the fewest amount of points in the NFL during that stretch. It's going to take a little time to turn the Titanic around on that one. Now, moving into the NFC North. Oh, that's weird doing that. All right. There we go. All right. AFC North. Cincinnati Bengals, I think we're not going to see too much of a drop off there. I think personally the Baltimore Ravens are going to be the team that is going to take this division this year. I think they're going to come in this case at 11-6. They're going to have a rebound season. I think Lamar Jackson's going to have a rebound season. I predict them to take the division this year with Cincinnati straight behind them. I think that Baltimore and Cincinnati are both going to go 11-6, but Baltimore is going to end up taking the division since he is going to have a good season. There's a lot to be excited about down there in Southeast Ohio. And you guys may additionally get a little extra of a fan base because the Cleveland Browns are going to have a garbage season this year. You spend all that money, you drop trade after trade for Deshaun Watson. Again, not getting into current events on that sort of thing, but his 11-game suspension to start the season throws a massive, massive monkey wrench into the entire Cleveland Browns season. Maybe they're thinking Watson long-term as far as the 4 seasons after that. I don't know. but I do not believe that this team is going to go 8-9 like they did last year. I would see them going 6-11 this year, probably. The Pittsburgh Steelers, I can see them going maybe 8-9. This is a team that is obviously in a transition of their own. I think grabbing Kenny Pickett was a great move. Mitch Trubisky, I still think he can do okay there. But I think the Pittsburgh Steelers right now are going to land in third place, come close to basically a wild card, but fall a little bit short. Okay, moving on. AFC South. I'm going to take this in reverse because honestly, that's a little easier. Jacksonville Jaguars are the Jacksonville Jaguars. Houston Texans, honestly, they made out really well when it came to that trade. They got a bunch of draft picks. Let's see what they can do. I don't see much change as far as their record goes, as far as 3-14 and 4-13. I would see it being pretty much the same. Maybe a win extra, possibly, but the truth is, when it comes right down to it, the AFC South is Indianapolis and Tennessee. Indianapolis had a very, very, very disappointing end of the season last year, but you have Jonathan Taylor's legs. As long as he can stay healthy, I think that team can run. Tennessee Titans, obviously, you got Derrick Henry on that running side as well. So you are looking at probably coming down neck and neck here. I think it's going to be close. I think both teams are going to go 10-7, but I think the Indianapolis Colts are going to take the division. That's my take there. The AFC West, this is where it also gets a little more interesting because the Chiefs got a little weaker. The Chargers are getting stronger. The Broncos got stronger, and the Raiders are in there. This, I think, personally, is the most interesting of all of the divisions in the NFL. The Kansas City Chiefs lost Tyreek Hill. He is in Miami now. I think, personally, my take here, I think this is Justin Herbert's time. I think the LA Chargers take the AFC West. I think they go 12-5, and they are the actual AFC champions or AFC West champions this year. Kansas City Chiefs, I think, will fall into second, probably going to go like 11-6. The Raiders, I think, will probably stay put at probably 10-7. And the Denver Broncos, I think, could end up 8-9, 9-8. They'll be a little bit better. Russell Wilson with that team is definitely a step up, but it depends. It remains to be seen how much he's going to be able to give in a very tough division because he has to play those other teams a total of 6 times. And I don't think that Denver Bronco team is ready yet to compete with guys like that. But you don't know what's going to happen next year. You know, that team right now, like I said, has the ability to be able to start building towards 2023, 24, and 25, as long as Russell Wilson can stay healthy. For some reason, Denver has a tendency to basically grab future Hall of Fame quarterbacks at the end of their career. So they're really, really banking on Russell Wilson trying to get them a Super Bowl, sort of like Peyton Manning did in his final year, although that was more the defense than Peyton in this case. But credit where it's due, he got one more Super Bowl. Okay, moving on to the NFC. Last year, the Dallas Cowboys went 12-5. The Dallas Cowboys are not going to go 12-5 this year. I would see them going probably more like a 10-7. I believe they've lost a step. I don't necessarily have as much faith in Dak. And as I said to someone who is a die-on-his-mountain loyal Dallas Cowboy fan, somebody who, as far as I've known him for the 12 years that I've known this man, has said every single year, perfect record, 16-0, now 17-0, Super Bowl champion, book it every single year. Book it. Super Bowl, Dallas Cowboys, book it. And then every single year we enjoy tearing him apart as the team basically struggles out of the gate, fails epically, and then gets eliminated, and Dak is playing golf by January. So to you, Sheldon, my dude, good guy, did push-ups on my my floor by wedding reception, by the way, without a shirt on, just pointing that out. I know you're loyal to the Dallas Cowboys, but I don't believe personally that Jerry Jones can get your team where it needs to go. I do not believe that your team is going to be strong enough to compete in, frankly, a very strong NFC and a little bit of a stronger NFC East. I believe this is the year that the Philadelphia Eagles win that division. You know, listen, I'm a die on my, this in this case, I am a die on the Hill Giants fan. I'm basically saying down the turnpike, down 95, over there in Philly, that is your your NFC champion right there. Philadelphia Eagles, I think, go 12-5. You know, they got Jones. They've made some good progress there. You know, they've got a little bit more. They're a little bit stronger with Hurts at quarterback. I think he's getting his legs, and I think this is a very, very strong. This is a stronger team than last year. Washington, I kind of feel like they're going to stay sort of the same right there. You know, 7-10 is probably where I think they're going to go. I forgot if I said this, but I think I said 10-7 for the Cowboys. The New York Giants. I am aware that the New York Giants also were tied with the Jets for the most losses in the NFL since 2017. The New York Giants have done what they could to erase the stain of what happened in the second quarter of the last game that they played, a game against Washington. The suicide sneak on 3rd and 9 at your own 4-yard line to Giant Nation was the single worst play in team history. It is, in my mind, actually worse than butt fumble. Butt fumble will always be more famous here in New York because of how it turned out. Thanksgiving night, running into your own guy's butt, fumble, return for a touchdown, to your division rival in the Patriots. Yes, that is the more well-known play and the more embarrassing play. However, it was a play that went south. It was a play that was not designed to be failure straight out of the gate. Jake Fromm was given orders by Joe Judge on a 3rd down and 9 to do a quarterback sneak so you don't have to punt from the very tip of your own end zone. 2 quarterback sneaks back to back. 2nd and 9, 3rd and 9. That showed his team he gave up. In the second quarter of your last game of the season, your game at home, you're only down by 3, and this is what you're saying to your team. The Giants did the right thing. They gave him the axe. He's out there. They've brought in Joel Sheen, who is the GM for Buffalo. They ended up bringing in Brian DeBall, who was the offensive coordinator, now head coach for the Giants. Brandon Kaye will refer to this as the Buffalo Giants, and you know what? I don't care. This is a team that has struggled so much over the last few years. It has been a pain to watch. It's been disappointing to watch. And I do not care if they are called the Buffalo Giants. Considering how the Buffalo Bills have been the past few years, I will take what I can get right now. Coming down to my final point, I think the Giants in this case go 7-10. Okay, so we got about 13 minutes left. I just want to see how much time I got. I got 3 divisions left, and I got a little bit of stuff I can cover on the side of that. Okay, the NFC North, I'm going to be honest, I think basically there's no reason why the Green Bay Packers are going to lose this division. They're not. The Lions aren't ready yet. The Bears aren't ready yet. The Vikings, I think, can be a little bit better than last year. I think they're probably going to go like 10, maybe 9-8. But the Packers are going to, frankly, probably have this division sewn up by week 11. You've got Aaron Rodgers back on the line. There was some question about that. I do not think that his breakup with Shailene Woodley is going to make a lot of difference in this particular case. Do I think this is his swan song in Green Bay? Yes, but I've been saying that for a couple of years now, so I keep getting that wrong. There is just something to be said about Green Bay and the question mark at veteran quarterbacks of whether they come back or not. NFC South, also pretty easy on this one. The Tampa Bay Bucks, and then pretty much everybody else. The Bucks right now, in Tom we trust. I think the team's going to lose a little bit right there. It might go 11-6, but I think that team is in a very weak division, which is going to make it a little easier. They will have to play the Packs. They will have to play the Rams, but I think the Tampa Bay Bucks right now will take that division. New Orleans, actually, I'm sorry. The North, I never gave my predictions as far as the records go. Minnesota, I was going to say 9-7. I'm sorry, 9-8. The Bears, 7-10. Lions, 3-14. I don't think the Lions are going to change too much there, which kind of sucks because Detroit deserves better love than they get. Back to the NFC South, though. I'm saying probably 11-6 for the Bucks. The New Orleans Saints, 9-8. I think is still probably okay. The Falcons, I think, are going to lose a massive step. They're going to drop down to 5-12 because you had Matt Ryan. He's gone now. So you have to, you're in rebuild mode. The Panthers are the team that intrigues me. Baker Mayfield, I think at this point is going to basically be playing with a fire. I think he is going to put up numbers that he has never put up before. And I think he is out there to prove that what Cleveland did to him was done dirty on so many different levels. And he is going to have a borderline comeback player of the year kind of number now. Do they reach the playoffs? No, probably not. I'm going to say probably 8-9. But Baker, I think right now is playing angry. And he's a veteran. He's got enough experience under his belt to not play angry stupid, but play angry smart. And I think he has a lot to prove. And I think Carolina is the perfect place for him to be able to start rebuilding that legacy a little bit. What does that do for Darnold? What does that do for all the other quarterbacks there? That's a problem in its own right, but that's going to be something that they just, that'll work out in its own time. And lastly, going back down to the NFC West in this case, I'm going to flip from the bottom up, I think, in this particular regard. Seattle right now, there's nothing's going to happen there. This team is in 100% a rebuild. Geno Smith has been named the starting quarterback for the Seattle Seahawks. I'm okay with that. I never had a problem with Geno. I like Geno. I think he deserves a little more love than he gets. And this team, though, unfortunately for him, is in a rebuild. They're going to take 5-12. It's going to kind of it sucks up there right now. They got Seattle, they got the Mariners and pretty much nothing else. See what happens with the Kraken here too. But that team needs basketball back. The Sounders are struggling too, so you don't even have soccer too much. The 49ers right now are a curious little enigma because they got Trey Lance. Trey Lance is their starting quarterback. They're keeping Jimmy G, which really kind of surprised me. I figured he was going to go somewhere. Maybe they just couldn't find a taker for the man. But I think the 49ers are going to drop a little bit. I feel them going like 9-8 this season. The Cardinals paid through the absolute nose for Kyler Murray, 5 years, $230.5 million. Deshaun Watson was 5 years, $230 million. So that extra $500,000 at the end for Kyler on that one. I understand why they did it because they have to remain competitive against the Rams right now. But in the end, I'm not a big fan of this contract. This is a lot of money to drop on a guy who kind of strong-armed the team a little bit, was very difficult to work with at times, and absolute talent. But I do not believe personally to live up to that contract. Cardinals 10-7 this year. The Rams right now, again, there's some massive question marks there with Stafford, especially Stafford year 2 and everything going on there. They're not going to lose the division. They're probably going to drop to like an 11-6 kind of a thing. I think they lose a bit there, but they're not going to lose that division. I don't think. I think the fact that they're going to be playing San Francisco and then the Seahawks a couple times is going to help a little bit there. They do have to play the Pack. They do have to play the Bucks, and obviously they also have to sit there and play the Cowboys as well. But until I see otherwise, I think this is going to be the Rams division until it's not. So, okay. So there we go. We got that. That preview officially. When I have the full slate of people back, I may actually end up doing this again. We'll find out at that point. It is now at 4:47. I have been talking nonstop for 47 minutes, and somehow my voice is actually not that shot out, which is impressive on my side of it. Didn't see that one coming. I want to basically, with the last few minutes here, I'm going to do something. I'm going to bring this up right about now. Talk a little MLS right now with the last few minutes that I've got. Why the heck? So, as basically some of you guys know, I cover specifically NYCFC here in New York. On Sunday, I covered both the Rockland Boulder game. Kind of a fun experience. I'm not going to lie. It was a lot of fun seeing that. About 4,005 there. And also, I went back to the house and immediately covered the NYCFC playing down, which clearly was in the middle of a hurricane or something, because by God, was it raining. NYCFC ended up losing an absolute heartbreak of a game. Seconds away out a road tie, gave up a header goal, lost 2-1 to Orlando with about 15 seconds left to play in extended time. And now at this point, NYCFC has lost 4 out of the last 5. And NYCFC, those lost, they have lost every single one of those games at the 75-minute mark or later. Their game losing goal that they gave up was at the 75-minute mark or later. And this is a massive issue because this team right now, close that out, right now is lost. They're struggling right now. They're decimated by injury. They have so much right now as far as what they need to do and where they got to go with that. It's a lot of concerns as far as this team is going to be able to actually get, how far they get to the playoffs. Conversely, at the same time, I'm struggling to bring up the schedule, the standings a little bit here. You have Philadelphia Union team that not only has the most goals in the East, also has given up the fewest East as well. They've given up. Apparently, the website's having a problem for the MLS. Soccer.com. Good job, guys. So, the Philadelphia Union have given up 20 goals in games. They've scored, I believe, without looking it up, as I'm pulling it up now, they scored, I believe, 51 or 57 goals. I believe is the number. That team absolutely 100% running away with now. And it would shock me if that team not get to the finals right now. It would shock the living heck out of me right now to see that team not be able to get to the finals. And that is a team that is honestly agitate everything because they lost. We're going to bring that up now. All right, bringing this up. Yeah, right. There we go. All right, so fine. It's from ESPN. So if you look at basically the standings best as you're able right now, the Union have scored 57 goals, given up 20 in 28 games. They have a 37 goal differential, second highest in the East. At NYCFC at 17, second highest in MLS, 26. This is a team that has scored 11 more, has a 11 goal differential better than the second team in MLS. This is a team that, by all accounts, lost the East last year due to COVID. When they played at home against CFC, they had 11 players on COVID protocol and were unable to play for a massive change, and they lost. But if you look at those numbers right now, the Union have given up 20 goals this season. 20 goals in 28 games. Second best is Columbus with 31 and 26. That is insane. I was going to say, if you're playing FIFA on like a cheat level, that's the kind of numbers that you're putting up there. On the other side of the fence, 57 goals in 28 games, far and away the best in the East as well. Most goals overall. LAFC is at 50. Austin, with a game in hand, but Austin right now has given up 37. Has given up almost twice as many goals. The Philadelphia Union have scored 57. They are outscoring their opponents by more than 2-1 margin right now. And this is a team that you need to be worried about. This is a team to be afraid of come playoff time, because the one final step further as I'm wrapping this out, that is a team that is the only team in MLS this year that has not lost a game at home. So they win that division. All roads in the East go through Philly. And I think Philly is ready this year, and I think they're primed to be able to shake that championship, especially after the heartbreak and the pain that they had last year. That, by the way, is pretty much going to do it for me. My name is Scott Churchson. I am working all by myself today. So thank you basically for the comments that came in. I appreciate it. You guys are awesome. At 7 o'clock tonight, in 2 hours' time, will be Tales from the Film Set on Streampunk Cinema, Go TV, and Spanglish World Network, and the whole shebang on that. We will be talking about the Rings of Power, the $715 million project by Amazon, which is going to be released on Thursday, and so far is being disliked to Hiffle on YouTube. A lot of fans are still upset about this. They feel it tarnishes the legacy of what many consider to be the holy grail of fantasy writing, and something that was done so well with the Peter Jackson trilogy that it walked away with 30 Academy Award nominations and 17 Academy Award wins in 3 movies. So the fact that Amazon is doing this has pissed off a lot of fans, because they're adding new material, they're changing things around, and they are, by all accounts from the fan base, removing and changing things to their own discretion. So we will be discussing that, because that is getting released in 2 days. There is a great deal of intrigue, but it will probably be hated in every way, because the fans do not like what they're trying to put out there. They do not like what they're doing to the characters. And they, especially at the end of the day, do not like the product. And probably in some ways don't like Amazon that way. So we will be discussing that ad nauseum tonight. For myself, I am Scott Churchson. Thank you as always for tuning in. I think I will have a regular entourage of people next week, this coming Sunday, for Sports Insiders, if I end up doing that solo. As promised, I would be talking about foreign sports, basically foreign sports to the U.S. So I would be talking about a little bit of kabaddi, maybe a little CPAC, takraw, bo, tao, shi, and some of the international sports that don't get a lot of love here in North America, because frankly, when it comes right down to it, as an American, we're kind of oblivious to those sports. Anyway, thanks as always for tuning in. I appreciate it. Stay awesome.